All right, listeners, so you're ready to dive into the world of startups. We've got a stack of books here, 5 to be exact. They're supposed to be all you need to make it big.
5 books to rule them all, huh? I don't know about all that, but I'm definitely curious.
Well, no one book can hold all the secrets to startup success, but these 5 offer a pretty solid foundation. They cover a lot of ground, from navigating the ups and downs to, actually building something people want.
Okay, you've got my attention. Let's hear about book number 1. What's first on our reading list?
First up is The Startup J-Curve by Howard Love.
The Startup J-Curve. Okay, what's that one all about?
So it's about understanding the predictable phases that every startup goes through, the ups and the downs.
So like a roadmap for the emotional roller coaster of starting a business.
Exactly. See, a lot of first-time entrepreneurs, they get caught off guard by the challenges, but the Startup J-Curve, it actually maps out the 6 key stages of the journey.
Interesting. What are the stages?
Well, for example, there's this thing called the dip.
The dip. Okay, that sounds ominous.
It is what it sounds like. It's that point where that initial excitement, the one you had at the beginning, it starts to fade and you hit a wall and it feels like you're going nowhere fast.
Oh, I've been there. It's brutal.
It is. But knowing that the dip is coming, that can be the difference between, throwing in the towel and pushing through to the other side.
Right, because on the other side of the dip is hopefully success.
Exactly. The Startup J-Curve gives you that heads up so you can weather the storm.
Okay, so we've got a map for the emotional roller coaster. That's a good place to start, but how do we make sure we're actually building something people want, something useful? What's next?
That brings us to The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, which is all about validating your assumptions early on.
Validating assumptions. So before I even think about quitting my day job, I need to make sure my idea isn't totally crazy.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how brilliant you think your idea is. If nobody's willing to pay for it, you're out of luck.
Makes sense.
Ries, he encourages entrepreneurs to build something scrappy, test it out in the real world, and then use that feedback to make it better.
It's like, why waste time and money building the Taj Mahal if nobody even wants a basic shelter? Right?
Yeah, precisely. The Lean Startup provides a framework for testing your assumptions quickly and cheaply so you can change directions or keep going based on real data, not just your gut feeling.
I love that. Fail fast, learn faster. Right. Okay, we've tackled the emotional roller coaster and made sure we're actually building something people want. But how do we get honest feedback from potential customers? That's got to be a tough one. Everyone always says they love your idea at first, but...
Yeah, that's where the mom test comes in.
A mom test. Okay, what's that?
It's by Rob Fitzpatrick, and it's all about asking the right questions to get beyond those surface-level niceties and figure out what people really think about your product.
Oh, I need this book. Everyone I know is contractually obligated to tell me my ideas are amazing, even if they're awful.
Right. It's like they want to be supportive, even if it means sugarcoating the truth. The mom test, it helps you avoid that trap.
Okay, so what's one question I can ask that will get people to give me real, brutally honest feedback?
Instead of asking, do you like this idea? Try asking, what's the biggest challenge you face when it comes to whatever problem your product solves? That gets them talking about their pain points.
That is genius. Okay, 2 books down, 3 to go. This is great. What's next?
All right, so the next book on our list, well, it tackles the less glamorous but equally important side of building a startup.
You mean dealing with difficult people and making tough decisions when things get a little crazy? Because I am here for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one. It's called The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
The Hard Thing About Hard Things. Okay. Who wrote that?
Ben Horowitz.
Okay, and what kind of hard things are we talking about here?
Well, everything from navigating office politics and managing those high-pressure situations. You got to make a tough call on, layoffs or even facing the very real possibility of failure.
This isn't your typical, rah-rah, follow your dreams business book, is it?
Not exactly. Horowitz, he draws on his own experience. I mean, both the good and the bad, the ups and the downs, He gives practical advice and I think some real hard-won wisdom.
So the Startup J-Curve, that's like the roadmap, right? What you say the hard thing about hard things is more like the survival guide.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's full of advice on navigating those difficult conversations, building a strong company culture, and just dealing with the inevitable setbacks that come with startup life.
Man, this is why I love these deep dives. We're not just scratching the surface. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty. So what's the final book on the list for today?
Last but certainly not least, we have 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel.
Okay, 0 to 1. I like the sound of that. What's the key takeaway there?
Thiel, he argues that it's all about creating something new, creating value, not just copying what everyone else is already doing.
So it's about finding that blue ocean, right? That untapped potential, and then boom, you dominate it.
Exactly. 0 to 1. It's all about, challenging how you think and finding innovative solutions to disrupt industries and create lasting value.
I love that. Right, so let's recap here. We've got the startup J curve. That's for understanding the emotional side of being a founder, all those ups and downs. Then there's the lean startup for making sure those ideas we have are actually good ones that people want. We've got the mom test to help us get some real, honest feedback. The hard thing about hard things, well, that's for when things inevitably get real. And then we finish it off with 0 to 1, which is our dose of inspiration.
So for our listeners out there who are just starting their entrepreneurial journey, what's the one thing, just one, that you really want them to take away from these books?
That's a great question. If I had to pick just one thing, I think it's that common thread that runs through all of these books, and that is to really understand why you're building something.
Okay, so it's not enough to just have a cool idea.
Right. The lean startup, it reminds us that we need to validate our assumptions first and make sure there's actually a need for the thing we want to build. The mom test, well, that shows us how to really dig deep, right, and understand what our customers are struggling with. And then you've got 0 to 1, which encourages us to think big and create something new, something valuable.
So it's about solving a real problem that real people are having.
Yes, exactly. And that's where the why comes in.
Right.
Why are you passionate about this specific problem? Why should anyone care? You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Because it's that passion, that sense of purpose,
yeah,
that'll motivate you to push through when things get tough. And as we learned in the hard thing about hard things, it's going to get tough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Building a successful startup, it's not all, fancy parties and billion-dollar valuations. It takes work, real work.
It does. And that's why it's so important to really connect to your why, the deep-seated belief in your mission, because that's what's going to keep you going when you want to give up.
Okay, so we've got the startup J curve, the lean startup, the mom test, the hard thing about hard things, and last but not least, 0 to 1. 5 books, a whole lot of knowledge, and hopefully for our listeners, the start of many successful businesses.
You got it. These books are packed with insights that can help anyone avoid some of those common pitfalls you see people making, make smarter decisions, and increase their chances of success.
It's like having a whole team of mentors in your back pocket. All right, listeners, there you have it. 5 books to jumpstart your entrepreneurial journey. Until next time on The Deep Dive, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep diving deep. So for our listeners out there who are just starting their entrepreneurial journey, what's the one thing, just one, that you really want them to take away from these books before they even think about, writing their first line of code or designing their first logo?
If I had to pick just one thing, it's hard to choose, but I think it's that common thread that we see running through all these books.
Okay, yeah, I see it. What is it?
And that is understanding the why behind what you're building.
Okay, so it's not enough to just have a cool idea.
Right. Like the lean startup reminds us, you got to validate those assumptions, right? You need to make sure there's a real need for what you're building.
Yeah, definitely.
And the mom test, well, that shows us how to really dig deep and understand our customer's pain point. And then we've got 0 to 1, which encourages us to think big, to really create something new and valuable.
So it's about solving a real problem for real people.
Exactly. And that's where the why comes into play. Why are you so passionate about this specific problem? Why should anyone care?
Because if you don't care, why should they?
Exactly. Because it's that passion, that sense of purpose that's going to motivate you when things get tough. Right. And they will.
Yeah.
The hard thing about hard things, remember, it's going to get tough.
Yeah, it's not all, rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's so important to really connect to your why.
Yeah.
That deep-seated belief in your mission, that's what will keep you going when things get tough.
That's such a good point. Okay, so we've got the startup J curve, the lean startup, the mom test, the hard thing about hard things, and 0 to 1. 5 books, a whole lot of knowledge, and hopefully for our listeners, the start of many successful businesses.
I love it. And these books, they're packed with insights that can help aspiring entrepreneurs avoid pitfalls, make better decisions, and ultimately increase their chances of success.
It's like having a whole team of startup mentors in your back pocket. All right, listeners, there you have it. 5 books to kickstart your entrepreneurial journey. Until next time on The Deep Dive, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep diving deep.
Thank you for being tuned to Viz Book Review. For more books recommended on this occasion, visit the description of this podcast. Happy reading.